Hi there. When you look at Lucid, you can see that the stock price went up 44% in just 1 month. A great performance. If you also look at the analyst estimates, what they expect Lucid to deliver in the future, you can see that the revenue is expected to grow a lot, quite a lot. From almost 600 million to over 8.4 billion by 2028. And this is amazing. If they can also succeed to make some profits, then the stock price may continue to rise. Of course, this company also has some tailwinds from the EV industry, as you can see. It is expected a compound annual growth rate over 15% from 2023 by 2032. You can see here. The EV industry in the US is expected to grow a lot. The market value is expected to be over 200 billion. And that's why they expect this high compound growth rate, about 15% a year. Now, if you look at their balance sheet, you can also see that Lucid has some cash, about 2.6 billion, their net cash position. Of course, if you look only on their cash, it's about 4.6 billion. But as they have some debt, almost 2 billion, the net cash position is about 2.6 billion. So, as you can see, everything looks good. They have tailwinds, their revenue is expected to grow more in the future, the EV industry is expected to deliver a nice growth rate, and the stock price keeps going up, over 40% in just 1 month. And of course, if you look at the latest results, you can see that the deliveries have increased by almost 40% year over year for the first quarter Q1 2024. You can see they delivered almost 2,000 vehicles, and this is quite great. And Lucid is expected to deliver about 9,000 vehicles for this year 2024. And they are saying that they have sufficient liquidity into the second quarter of 2025. As we've seen, they have some cash to fund their operations, to expand their growth rate, and maybe this company may become profitable in the long term. You can also see that they are planning to deliver new models in the future. For instance, Gravity SUV, scheduled for late 2024, and another product for late 2026. As long as they keep increasing their revenue and reduce their losses, maybe Lucid will survive and they'll be able to make a profit in the long term. Now, this is the upside, what you can expect from Lucid. You also have to look at the downside, the risk. And the first risk, as you probably know, is dilution. If you look at the number of shares, you can see that they have increased a lot. From 2020, they had about 700 million shares, and now they have over 2 billion. And this is huge, a huge dilution. Because if they keep issuing more shares, your value will decrease over time. If you look year to date, the performance of the stock price wasn't that great, a decline of 20%. And of course, if you look at the whole picture, you can see an even higher decline, over 66% for the last 5 years. I mean from its IPO. Of course, if you had invested at the highest peak when the stock price was over $50 per share, then your decline would have been over 90%. That's why it's quite important to focus on the risk first, and then the reward, and buy when the stock price is undervalued. As you can see in the last month, the stock price went up over 30%. If you know when to buy and when to sell, you can make money with any stock or any business. But that's quite hard to know when to buy and when to sell. That's why, if you know the fair value of a company and buy below it, you may make some money in the long term if you are willing to wait, if you have the patience. But if you don't know the fair value of that company, then you can take advantage of those low prices. Because maybe the stock price may decline even more from the current level. Maybe it will go down to $1.5. and you may want to take advantage. But if you don't know the fair value of Lucid, then you can do that. Tell me, what's the fair value of Lucid in market cap? Let me know in the comments. As you can see now, the market cap is about 7.4 billion. And if you are trying to value this business based on their earnings, on their future earnings, you can't, because the analysts expect only losses. Of course, those losses may reduce in the future. But for instance, for the next 2 or 3 years, their losses are expected to be quite huge, quite high. Over 2 billion for 2024 and 2025, and over 1 billion in 2026. If they can survive till then. Now, if they succeed to make a profit, then you can try to value this business based on their future profits. But if you don't have any earnings, no profits, you might try to value this business based on their revenue as a car company. And if you look at the car industry, you will see that the price to sales is quite low. So the fair value of this company, Lucid, may be even lower than 7 billion, quite less, maybe 2 billion or 3 billion. Because everything depends on their future revenue. If they can succeed to deliver 8.4 billion. As the market expects a lot of growth ahead, and also Lucid has some tailwinds from this EV industry, that's why the market is so high, about 7.4 billion. But you have to know that if you invest right now, you have a high risk, and that is dilution, as they have no profits and the analysts expect no earnings in the future. You have to be aware that this company will issue more shares in the future to fund their operations. Then, if Lucid reports a decline in their deliveries, then that will be bad for the stock price. It will go down a lot. You have to be aware of this risk because, as you know, there is also competition. And when they compete with other companies, their deliveries might decline. And if that happens, they can succeed to increase the revenue more in the future, or they have higher costs, then this business may not become profitable. And if that happens, then your future fair value will be zero. And of course, the highest risk is that this company may go bankrupt if they don't succeed to increase their revenue and fund their operations. They will continue to issue more shares as they did in the past, and if they don't succeed, this company may go bankrupt, and this is the highest risk. So if you are planning to invest in this company, be aware that you may have an upside, the reward, as you can see the analyst estimates and the industry, the good tailwinds from the EV industry. You may make some money, but at the current market cap, which is about or over 7 billion, your risk is quite high, because from the current level, the stock price might decline even more if other problems occur in the future. And that can happen because of competition, higher interest rates, as you can see they are over 5%, and dilution, as I said. Be aware of dilution. They already said in the presentation that they created new convertible preferred stock. This means that dilution is likely to occur in the future. They will issue more shares, and you have to be aware of this risk. Some people don't understand this risk, but if you are a good investor, you always pay attention to dilution. And of course, if this company can become profitable in the long term. So your upside is that you might succeed to make a profit, but be aware that the risk is quite high and you can lose a big part of your money or all of money if this company goes bankrupt, if they can fund their operations. For the moment, they have some cash. As you can see, their net cash position is about 2.6 billion. But be aware that this company is burning over 2.8 billion a year. And for this year, 2024, the analyst expects another loss of 2.5 billion. So their cash position is likely to disappear quite fast, in 1.5 years, something like this. They also said in their presentation, as you can see here in their guidance, they are saying that they have sufficient liquidity into the second quarter of 2025. But then they have to fund new funds. And you can also see that the capital expenditures are expected to be about 1.5 billion in 2024. So it's up to you if you want to take this huge risk. As I said, you might make some money if you buy low and sell high, but be aware that the risk is quite high. This company may not become profitable and they might go bankrupt. And if you have other questions, please let me know in the comments.